Can't adjust anything. Everyone, if you could just give us a few more minutes, we have a few more commission members joining us. Evan, you're muted. So if you click lower left hand, Mr. Chairman, cannot hear. Mike, can you hear me? Yes, sir. Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, can the other members of the commission hear me?
Yes.
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 Okay. Thanks very much, and I apologize for the glitch. I've been on the call for 10 minutes, and then all of a sudden it stopped. So obviously we'll all need to be patient, and I'm sure we'll have more glitches. But by my clock, it is 9:04 a.m. and the spring quarterly meeting of the Tennessee Higher Education Commission is called to order. I want to thank everyone for being here and participating in this meeting, and I hope under these circumstances everyone's doing well and staying safe. At this point in time, pursuant to Governor Lee's Executive Order 16, because we are all participating remotely, Would you please indicate whether anyone else is with you at your location witnessing the meeting when the secretary calls the roll? Shauna, can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Chairman Coe?
Present. I'm present and alone.
Commissioner Dishner? And alone. Commissioner Dishner, I couldn't hear you. Was that you?
Can you hear me now?
I can.
Sorry. Present and alone.
Commissioner Johnston?
Present and alone.
Commissioner Coben?
I'm present and alone.
Commissioner Moser?
Present and alone.
Commissioner Stafford?
Present and alone.
Commissioner Watson?
Present and alone.
Whitten?
I am present and alone.
Commissioner Morrison?
Present and alone.
Secretary Hargett?
Physically alone. You were muted, Madam Secretary.
Oh.
You're good now.
I'm muted? Okay. Okay, sorry about that. Commissioner Wharton?
Whose name did you call?
Commissioner Wharton. I see he's on the meeting. His mic is muted.
Present and alone.
Thank you, Commissioner Wharton.
Thank you.
Controller Wilson?
I'm right here. Ain't nobody else.
Treasurer Lillard?
Present and solo.
Commissioner Riley? Commissioner Riley, are you there?
We're good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Chairman, you have a quorum.
Mr. Chairman, you're muted. Heather, unmute Chairman Cope, please. Mr. Chairman.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The first item of business we need to address is the statement of need to meet electronically due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Madam Secretary, if you would, please read the statement.
Chairman Cope and Commission members, in Executive Order Number 16, Governor Bill Lee suspended Tennessee's open meeting laws as necessary to allow a governing body to meet by electronic means and conduct essential business under certain conditions if the governing body determines that meeting electronically is necessary to protect the health, safety, and welfare of Tennesseans in light of the COVID-19 outbreak. The conditions are live access to the meeting of the public if possible, no adjustment to existing quorum meeting notice voting requirement, clear notice to the public of the meeting agenda and how to access the meeting in a manner reasonably accessible to members of the public. Each part of the meeting, subject to the Open Meetings Act, must be audible to the public. Each member participating electronically must be able to simultaneously hear each other and speak to each other during the meeting. Any member participating electronically shall identify the person present at the location from which the member is participating. Each member participating electronically must be provided for the meeting with any documents that will be presented to the meeting with substantially the same content as those documents actually presented. All votes taken during a meeting shall be called by roll call vote, and electronic participation allows a member to vote but does not make them eligible for a per diem. The Tennessee Higher Education Commission has ensured that each of the required conditions have been met. For purposes of this THEC meeting, we are using WebEx to accommodate and backup. Notice of the meeting, agenda materials, WebEx link for those participating via webinar, call-in number for those participating by phone only, and applicable codes were posted to the THEC website and emailed to members of the commission last week. All votes will be by roll call, and there have been no changes to existing quorum, meeting notice, or voting requirements. Each member has introduced themselves to all persons at their respective location. Lastly, members will be considered present for voting purposes, but not for purposes of a per diem. All conditions listed in Executive Order Number 16 having been met, the only remaining item needed to ensure compliance with the Open Meetings Act and Executive Order Number 16 is for the Commission to determine that meeting electronically is necessary to protect the health, safety, and welfare of Tennesseans in light of the COVID-19 outbreak. Chairman Cope, that completes my comments.
Mr. Chairman, I move that meeting electronically is necessary to protect the health, safety, and welfare of Tennesseans in light of the COVID-19 outbreak, and that Mrs. Jennings' comments be included as part of the minutes of the meeting.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Dishner. Is there a second?
Second, David Lillard.
Thank you, Treasurer Lillard. There being a motion and a second, is there any discussion? Hearing none, Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Chairman Cope,
Aye.
Commissioner Dishner,
Aye.
Commissioner Johnston,
Aye.
Commissioner Coben,
Aye.
Commissioner Moser,
Aye.
Commissioner Stafford,
Aye.
Commissioner Watson,
Aye.
Commissioner Witten, Commissioner Witten,
Aye.
Secretary Harkett, I think you're on mute, Secretary Harkett. I can see you.
Well,
Thank you. Commissioner Wharton,
Present. Aye.
Comptroller Wilson,
Yep.
Treasurer Willard,
Aye.
Chairman, you have 12 ayes.
Very good. Thank you very much, Madam Secretary. Next, I'll call on the Executive Director to discuss some of the protocols for conducting the electronic meeting this morning. Mike?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As we've already seen in even our short few minutes of meeting, having a commission meeting via WebEx is not ideal. We're going to make a couple of requests here. Currently, if you are not a commission member, turn off your video. That means you're going to go down to the bottom bar. You're going to see an icon of a camera, and you're going to stop filming. We do not need anyone but commission members on video. So please go ahead and do that. Presenters, when it is your turn to present, you then can return your video using that icon. But the goal is, for the purposes of the public record, that we only have commission members on video until it is time to present. Further, we have many callers, as you can see, which we're always happy. At this point, though, if you haven't done so, please mute your phone. Second, commission members, as we go through today, if you have a question for any of the presenters, you can actually raise your hand, and we can see that, unmute you, and then go from there. It will be just a little bit clunky as we go through each vote because obviously, due to our distant state, every vote has to be a roll call vote. Presenters from the campuses, when it is your turn to present, presenter rights will be passed to you. You'll be able to click through the slides using the panel on the left of your screen, not the arrows on your keyboard. Dr. Brown, can you please stop your video? Thank you. I want to thank Heather King and Jason C., who are helping us with all of these various technological issues. I ask for everybody's patience, and I know especially those of you that have served on other boards, we've all been through this the last several weeks. It's our goal to have an efficient meeting, and most importantly, a meeting that's able to get down to the business. We have academic programs and master plans that need to be considered today. So thanks so much.
Thank you very much, Mike. All right, ladies and gentlemen, there is one change to the agenda as it relates to item 1 on the regular calendar. Due to incomplete information at this time and pending action of the General Assembly, I move that we remove item 1, tuition and fees, from the agenda to be taken up at a later date. I'll entertain a second.
Second, this is Vernon.
Thank you, Commissioner Stafford. Any discussion? Hearing none, Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Thank you. Sorry about that. Chairman Coe,
Aye.
Commissioner Dishner,
Aye.
Commissioner Johnston,
Aye.
Commissioner Coben,
Aye.
Commissioner Moser,
Aye.
Commissioner Stafford,
Aye.
Commissioner Watson,
Aye.
Commissioner Winton,
Aye.
Secretary Hargett,
Aye.
Commissioner Wharton, Commissioner Wharton,
Aye.
Comptroller Wilson,
Aye.
Treasurer Lillard.
Aye.
Chairman, you have 12 ayes and 0 nays.
Thank you very much, Madam Secretary. The motion carries. The next item on the agenda is adoption of the agenda. The floor is open for a motion to that effect.
So moved. This is Pam Coben.
Thank you, Commissioner Coben. Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
I'm sorry, who made the second?
A.C. Wharton.
Okay, Mayor Wharton, second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Chairman Coe,
Aye.
Commissioner Dishner,
Aye.
Commissioner Johnston,
Aye.
Commissioner Coben,
Aye.
Commissioner Moser,
Aye.
Commissioner Stafford,
Aye.
Commissioner Watson,
Aye.
Commissioner Winton,
Aye.
Secretary Hargett,
Aye.
Commissioner Wharton,
Aye.
Comptroller Wilson,
Yes.
Treasurer Lillard.
Aye.
Chairman, you have 12 ayes and 0 nays.
Thank you very much, Madam Secretary. The motion is carried. The agenda is adopted. The next item of business is approval of minutes from the January 31st, 2020 meeting. The floor is open.
I move adoption.
Second.
Okay, so I'm sorry, who made the motion?
I think there were two of us, Vernon Stafford.
I'll second.
Okay.
David Lillard.
Got it. So we have a motion to approve the minutes by Commissioner Stafford, seconded by Treasurer Lillard. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Chairman Coe,
Aye.
Commissioner Dishner,
Aye.
Commissioner Johnson,
Aye.
Commissioner Coben,
Aye.
Commissioner Moser,
Aye.
Commissioner Stafford,
Aye.
Commissioner Watson,
Aye.
Commissioner Winton,
Aye.
Secretary Hargett,
Aye.
Commissioner Wharton,
Aye.
Comptroller Wilson,
Aye.
Treasurer Lillard.
Aye.
All right, Chairman, you have 12 ayes and 0 nays.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. The motion is carried. All right, the next item on our agenda is the time for the chairman's report, which I will deliver now. And I want to wish everyone again good morning. And I know this is a first for all of us. This is actually literally the first ever THEC meeting held via video conference. The novelty of this meeting format obviously underscores an unmistakable truth that we are in unprecedented times due to the COVID-19 pandemic. First and foremost, my thoughts and the thoughts of the commission are with those families in Tennessee who are reeling from a loss of life or health challenges due to the virus. Our thoughts also go out to those who have lost their livelihoods during these difficult times. Additionally, I want to extend on behalf of the commission our sincerest condolences to those Tennesseans impacted by the tornadoes that ravaged our state in March and April of this year. It's been a difficult year for our state. These have been unquestionably challenging months, but Tennessee has never been one to back down from the face of adversity. In times like these, I'm reminded of the can-do attitude that helped our predecessors earn the nickname the volunteer state over 200 years ago. When the going gets tough, Tennesseans do what needs to be done, and that's what we're here doing today. Looking around our state these past few weeks, I can think of no more appropriate name for us than the volunteer state. Whether it's the ordinary citizens who rush to help their neighbors clear debris and rebuild in wake of the tornadoes, or the multitude of doctors and nurses and other healthcare workers who have risen to the challenge of fighting COVID-19, one thing is very clear. Tennessee is a state full of volunteers. The volunteer spirit and call to action has spilled over to our higher education institutions as well. Director Krass will speak in detail about a partnership between our TCATs, community colleges, and universities that has produced over 10,000 face shields over recent months. These face shields provide critical protection to our healthcare workers as they continue to fight COVID-19. Cross-sector collaboration is also at an all-time high as both K through 12 and higher education determine the best ways to support students now and in the near term. UT Knoxville and the Department of Education, for example, have partnered to provide principals professional development to address the challenges of COVID-19. Our residents and our institutions have stepped up during this time because it's what we do. It's at our very core as Tennesseans. To every person who has made a personal sacrifice for the betterment of our state in these past few months, you have my many thanks and the thanks of our commission. Each of you makes me proud to be a citizen of Tennessee. At our January meeting, I highlighted the many ways that Tennessee higher education has progressed over the past decade and the ways we have planned to progress over the next decade. We codified these goals and ambitions in our updated master plan. It would be easy to suggest that these ambitions be put on hold due to the troubles of the past few months, but doing so would go against our very nature as Tennesseans. We must charge forward. The values, goals, and dreams outlined in the master plan have only grown in importance. Now more than ever, we must ensure our institutions are accessible and affordable to all. We must ensure that our institutions are responsive to the needs of Tennessee families and businesses. And we must do what we do to transform the lives of Tennesseans through educational opportunity, preparing them for meaningful employment. And while there are certainly new roadblocks to achieving these goals, there are also many new opportunities. Through these hardships, we have been reminded of the potential for higher education as a force for good in the lives of everyday Tennesseans. And we must continue to help our institutions be that force in the lives of our students. And that concludes my report. And at this time, I will call on Mike Krause to deliver his.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And commission members, again, I appreciate everybody's adaptability for joining us today and for all of you being available over the last 2 weeks. For those on the meeting who aren't on the commission, I hope you know every one of these commission members. We've had multiple calls leading up to the meeting between staff and each commission member to ensure that they're ready to consider what are very important agenda items. I think one of the points I'd like to make is the reason we thought it was so important to ensure we charge ahead with this meeting in the spirit of Chairman Cope's remarks is that each of the items today, the academic programs and the master plans, these are things campuses need to move forward on. And they need to move forward whether or not we're in a pandemic or not so that they can serve students. That's the reason we're continuing to meet today, despite the fact the modality can be challenging. I want to give a brief internal update. I'll focus on the micro, and then we'll go out and talk large higher ed, the macro picture. THEC, our agency, our staff, I think you as a commission would be very proud of them. On March 13th, with the rest of state government, we left on a Friday with our laptops, and by and large, our employees have not returned to the office. Yet our mission has not dropped. We have convened regularly in forums like this one, near constant phone calls and texts to make sure that the crucial functions THEC does continue to support students. And for our staff members that are on the call, I want to thank them. We had an all-staff WebEx yesterday and was able to share my gratitude to them. Also able to make sure they know that for our employees that can continue to work from home, we're going to ask that they do that over the next several weeks and continue to do that. The second internal point, I can assure you that moving a state agency is one of the more challenging things to be done in state government, and moving it in the middle of a pandemic, I do not recommend. However, we, as you'll see from the background, have moved into our new office space in the Tennessee Tower. I want to thank a few members of our staff that have gone above and beyond, because during this time with everybody at home, there have been several of us in the office every day. Timothy McGarr, Heather King, and Tiffany Krantz are our information technology specialists. Sometimes you all don't get to see them because they play a behind-the-scenes role. They have personally hooked up 114 desktop computers themselves, and it was never intended to occur that way. We also had members of our staff who we wanted to move perhaps a little more ambitiously than the state government plan. And so we moved most of our computers ourselves utilizing a convoy of pickup trucks, which Secretary Hargett witnessed driving down Charlotte Avenue one day. I want to thank Mitch Curry, Brandon Hudson, Ken Hansen, and Paul Marshall, because they single-handedly moved every computer in this agency themselves. And that's just a great example of the mission-first attitude we have. So when we do return fully, we look forward to hosting the commission in our new space. I can assure you, as soon as you get off the elevator, you are greeted by our vision statement that we're relentlessly focused on increasing the number of Tennesseans with a post-secondary credential, and we have not lost sight of that. I want to zoom out to the macro really quickly and talk about this slide that you see before you. On March 11th, I think we'll all remember that Wednesday is the crucial day in this pandemic where things became very real very quickly. And by Friday, every public campus in Tennessee had sent their students home. I would be remiss to not recognize the ground troops in that battle, our faculty members, who single-handedly went online with the flip of a switch. And our Tennessee faculty rose to the occasion and essentially built in 2 years of innovation into 48 hours. That great faculty work doesn't occur without great leaders, though. And I really want to talk about how lucky we are to have the group of presidents we have. I would not want to be in any other higher education system in America right now. The presidents we have, there has been collaboration near constant throughout. We are talking more than we've ever talked during this pandemic. And the vision that our presidents cast, I believe ultimately is the reason our campuses are succeeding the way they are. Dr. House and Dr. Gentile are working to ensure that we know exactly what happened this spring. That's very important for us to be able to track how did students do in this new environment. We don't have those answers yet. We will have those answers, I would say, by late summer, and we will share those with the commission. The slide you see here really depicts the challenges these presidents are facing. I have been in or around higher education policy now for 13 years. There are many on our staff and certainly our presidents that have been around much longer. The consensus is that no one has ever seen a confluence of challenges like you see on this slide. We may have seen one here or there. We've never seen all three come together in such a compressed time frame. So what you see here, I'm actually going to ask Dr. Gentile to walk you through it in detail. But I think the most important thing to remember is that this challenge is not over. The fall semester reopening is going to be crucial, and the fiscal impacts we saw from this spring we're going to be facing for many months. And given the fiscal policy role that this commission plays, we thought it very appropriate to give you an overview of where things currently stand. And so I'll defer to Dr. Gentile.
All right, thank you, Director Krause, Chairman Cope, members of the commission. In front of you, yes, as Director Krause mentioned, we have what are hard numbers and then estimates projecting forward into the fall. The top graph is an overview of how much was lost due to closing down campuses mid of the semester and housing refunds and dining refunds being distributed to our students. And we have it broken down for University of Tennessee and our locally governed institutions, our LGIs. Those are our residential campuses. Not depicted are TBR, community colleges, and TCAT at this time. We do know that we've lost a substantial amount of revenue in actually returning funds to our students, and our institutions worked quickly to do that. How they did that differs from campus to campus. Some gave checks of $500 to all students for the remainder of the semester. Others took into consideration financial aid that was distributed. But the fact is, all of our universities did refund. Now, the CARES Act, the stimulus that was voted in late March, does have a provision that allows for institutions to use their money to reimburse themselves for that refund, and that does go a long way here. Also depicted here is a little bit of lost revenue for the spring, but not depicted for auxiliary revenue, athletics, bookstore revenue, and other lost funding. And also summer is not depicted here as well. Looking down the two bottom graphs, we don't know what the fall is going to look like with regards to enrollment. Institutions, in fact, a couple of institutions start to announce that they will have on-campus enrollment. That is their plan, but we still don't know how students will respond. And so we show in front of you projected tuition and fee and auxiliary revenue losses dependent on declines in enrollment, 5%, 10%, 15%. We still have a long time before the fall starts. What we do know is that some students have been holding back on actually enrolling. We're going to put that up against uncertainty. On the other side of that ledger, though, enrollment does tend to increase during bad economies, but right now we don't know what we're going to expect. On the right-hand side of that slide, international tuition and fee revenue loss. A survey was announced yesterday by the Institute of International Education, polling colleges and universities, and 88% of colleges and universities expect to have an international student decline due to the inability to travel here from their home country. Also known is that 92% of international students stayed in the U.S. immediately following the closures of campus, so they might be able to come back to campus in the fall. What we show in front of you is worst-case scenario, what it looks like by region when travel is closed to the United States, and assuming all those students went home back in the spring and can't come back in the fall. In total, that amounts to over $70 million in lost tuition and fee revenue and auxiliary revenue for the spring alone. For the fall alone. What this does not take into consideration is what would happen if they don't come into the spring. This does include graduate students in the calculation. Director Krause?
Any questions for Dr. Gentile? Thank you, Stephen. And I hope that just depicts to the commission the very uncertain waters we're in. We're going to continue to monitor closely. We're going to continue to talk to our presidents constantly with the goal to support them during this time. And I will cede the remainder of my time. Thank you, Chairman Cope.
Thank you, Director Krause. Are there any questions for Mike?
Chairman Cope?
Yes, ma'am, Commissioner Coben. Hey.
Yes, this is Pam. I just had the question. I noticed in the paper that the University of Tennessee at Knoxville says that enrollment is up, and of course they're waiting on the June 1 deadline to really see how that plays through. What's the absolute latest deadline for all of our LGIs? When will we actually know probably what's going to happen in the fall?
So I will tell you, Commissioner, it's not as firm as anybody would like it to be. The reality is that the vast majority of the universities we're talking about ultimately between late registration, you really don't know until a week or two into the semester. With very few exceptions, most of our campuses continue to take enrollment and admission very close. Our community colleges, in fact, right up until the day, and in fact, oftentimes you can go ahead and enroll after the semester has already started within a certain window of tolerance. We will have a depiction on the 14th day census. And so 14 days into the semester, and then we typically are able to analyze and clean the data. We'll be able to report back to you likely 3 weeks into the fall semester. That being said, there are early indicators. Housing, that sort of thing develops in July, and we obviously communicate with the campuses throughout, and we will share that with you. I think the best thing that I've seen from our presidents, if you get a chance just to look at the work a lot of them are doing on what has become an incredibly important channel, social media. And our presidents are communicating nonstop with potential students. One of the things that I heard from one of our presidents this week that we at THEC are going to put our heads together on is this notion of a gap year, which is a really bad idea. A gap year is a really good way to never go to college, typically. And your chances of graduating from college go down 30% the moment you take a gap year. We would encourage our students, and for the campuses that are listening, we're going to work on a PR campaign to make sure students understand you need to continue to move forward. Even if it is only online, enrolling in college immediately after high school is one of the #1 predictors of persistence to a degree. And I am troubled by the narrative around a gap year.
I understand. Thank you.
Yes, sir, Commissioner Stafford.
Thank you. Director Krause, this week the State of California university system announced that they will probably not reopen in the fall. I recognize that state is quite different than we are here in the state of Tennessee, but just help me understand, would we seriously consider strictly an online fall semester, or is there any consideration of not opening in light of what you just said about a gap year? But I'm just really focusing in on what more are we considering?
Thank you for that question, Commissioner. And what I would say, first and foremost, all of our public institutions have indicated an intent to return in the fall in person. There are two really important things in my mind that need to happen in order to make those conditions work for students. And please know the presidents are on top of this. But we have a working group together right now, and we need to work through two things. First, I think the governor's Tennessee pledge for businesses has been really good. I think it has effectively put out in an advisory way the things businesses in Tennessee need to do to reopen safely. We in higher education need to emulate that. And so we're working towards adoption of a consensus document likely to be released in early to mid-June that would be a Tennessee pledge for higher education. And I want to thank Dr. Presnell because the private colleges have been part of this. He is on the working group with us. And my hope is that document puts in place and it memorializes in writing the kinds of things that parents and students need to see, right, versus being reassured verbally. So I think condition #1 for a safe reopening is about the structures we put in place and the public health structures that are explicitly defined. And again, we've benefited greatly, I think, from the governor's leadership with the Tennessee pledge approach. The second thing is that I believe higher education needs to have robust testing capability. The ability, as you all know, we are the second largest housing entity in state government. The largest is the Department of Corrections. They have 28,000 inmates. We have 26,000 residential students. Being able to provide testing capabilities for our campuses, I believe, is very important. As I have communicated to Chairman Cope and a few of you, that is my #1 priority right now, is working between higher education and state government and the unified command group that the governor has put together in order to build testing capability. And the unified command group has been excellent to work with. But this is something I really hope we can bring to our presidents as a statement of assurance in the fall. You have a student health center, we will equip you with organic testing capability to be able to test on the front end of the semester and test throughout as needed. With that, plus a Tennessee pledge-like structure, Commissioner Stafford, I believe the conditions could be right for a semester that approaches normalcy, though we all have to be clear-eyed that February 2020 will never return, likely ever. But we can put in place the right conditions where when parents drop their students off at our campuses, I think they feel safe.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Any other questions for Director Krause? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to our first action item. And by the way, if I miss anybody, please speak up. I don't want to take away anybody's ability to make a comment or ask a question. Moving on to the consent calendar, it's our first action item. And unless there's an objection, there are 2 items on the consent calendar, and I'd like to take those and have them considered as a set. So we'll have one motion on the consent calendar. If there are no questions or objections, the floor is open for a motion to approve the items on the consent calendar.
This is Vernon Stafford. I move.
Okay, I heard Commissioner Stafford, excuse me, with a motion, and maybe Commissioner Dishner with a second. Okay, is there any discussion? Hearing none, Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Chairman Cope,
Aye.
Commissioner Dishner,
Aye.
Commissioner Johnson,
Aye.
Tobin,
Aye.
Commissioner Moser,
Aye.
Commissioner Stafford,
Aye.
Commissioner Watson,
Aye.
Commissioner Winton, aye. Secretary Hargett,
Aye.
Commissioner Wharton, Commissioner Wharton, Commissioner Wharton, are you there? Comptroller Wilson? Comptroller Wilson? Oh, thank you, Commissioner Wharton. As Commissioner Wharton with an aye. Comptroller Wilson? Treasurer Lillard?
Aye.
Commissioner Riley?
Aye.
Chairman, you have 13 ayes.
Very good. The motion carries. Next item on the agenda is the regular calendar item. We're going to discuss new academic programs. We have 5 new academic programs for the commission to consider today. These academic programs align with the mission of each institution and fulfill student demand and employer needs. I'll ask Betty Dandridge Johnson, THEC's Chief Academic Officer, to give us a brief overview and to introduce our first speaker. Betty?
All right, thank you. Good morning, Chairman Cope, Director Krause, and Commission members. On today's agenda, there are 5 new academic programs for your consideration. These programs have been vetted internally by both THEC and UT staff and externally by the subject matter consultants. The first academic program on today's agenda is Austin Peay's Master of Speech Language Pathology, and Dr. White, President of Austin Peay State University, will make this presentation. Dr. White.
Thank you, Dr. Dandridge Johnson, and thank you for all the technical advice you've given me in the last 2 days. Thank you to the Commission for continuing to move us forward and for being willing to do this kind of meeting. It's really important that we continue to serve our students. But on a personal note, I will say that I miss you. I miss seeing you in the Senate hearing room and just having that interaction that we have as people who really care about students in Tennessee. So I want to talk about the Master of Speech Language Pathology proposal that you have before you. This program proposal is personal to me. I've been involved in this kind of program for many years at some capacity or degree. When I was a department chair many years ago, we had this program in my department and ran a clinic, and I saw how families were transformed and from the smallest child who needed speech therapy to the stroke victim who was learning how to regain facility with language. This is a program that really makes a difference in lives. And so I'm very pleased to be able to present this proposal. OSTP really works hard to do what we can to create some niches in our program proposals so that students can join the ranks of the professionals with a little bit extra. And so what you see on this slide is that the program is designed to prepare practitioners, those who are ready to sit for national certifications and then also for state licensing exams. And we're following the requirements of the accrediting body that accredits speech path programs nationally. The unique features of the programs are that, one, we will instruct students in training on endoscopic evaluation of voice and swallowing disorders. That's very significant because we use a scope to allow students to actually view what the structure of the vocal cords would be, and so that it gives them an extra experience in helping their patients regain facility with swallowing in particular. Most of those types of experiences are located in programs that are associated with medical schools. And so the fact that we would be able to do that would give our students a lift, those students who really can't travel or move and go to a program associated with the medical school. So that is a niche for us. We also believe very strongly in the value of interpersonal, interpersonal too, but interprofessional clinical education. I would say it's the educational equivalent to the Mayo Clinic model. So our students in this program would also interact with students in nursing, particularly on those swallowing disorders that I mentioned before. If you're working with a mature adult population, more than 40% of your work is going to be on swallowing specifically, and that's going to be something that can be informed also by our health professions majors. There's also interest in working with our music majors because vocalists train the voice. And so we would expose these students to interactions with music professors who are also interested in using their techniques to help children and adults regain facility or gain facility with speech itself and speech and language itself. Another opportunity for collaboration is with our psychology department. As you know, we are beginning this PsyD that's dealing with serving military families in particular, but part of that is dealing with traumatic brain injuries. And traumatic brain injuries can have a dramatic impact on someone's use of language. And so we want our students in this program to have robust interactions with those majors and also our education college because, frankly, school systems are among the biggest users of speech and language pathologists. Also, what was going to be on this slide originally, because it was a very unique thing, not so unique now, is that there would be an emphasis on telemedicine and telehealth. So in a previous life, I helped start a pharmacy school, and we really focused on the idea of telehealth and telemedicine for rural communities, particularly because they don't have the same access to care that we do here in Clarksville or Nashville, Chattanooga, Memphis. You know, we are very fortunate because we have some of the best care in the country right here, but not every person in every county or every school child has that same ability. It's not as unique now because in the last 2 months, we've all found that we need telemedicine and telehealth. And so it'll still be a focus of the program, but frankly, it shouldn't be a niche. This should be something that programs around the country are considering. The other reason that's really important is we talk about the timing of this particular program is that we are associated with Fort Campbell Military Installation, which is only 10 miles from our Clarksville campus, and we do have our own site on campus. We do have our own building on Fort Campbell. Well, what you may not know is that Fort Campbell is designated as a compassionate care military installation. And so we have many people who are sent there and who are assigned to Fort Campbell specifically because of the needs that they may have or the needs that the family members of our soldiers may have that require additional care, such as speech and language therapy. And so there's a greater need in our area for these types of services. And there's a lot of interest that we've seen from the Fort Campbell and the Blanchfield Hospital, and then also from our local hospitals and medical clinics, from not-for-profits and our school systems. And so these collaborations to serve school children, many of whom are children of deployed parents who are in our school system, and then also those folks who are maybe separating from the military, retiring here, and may need some additional help. And so those collaborations and cooperations are what would make this program particularly unique. This program also is aligned with the state master plan. It does meet the needs of our workforce there, and I'll share some data with you on that in a minute, but I'll just say that it also fits the enrollment plans that we have for Austin Peay. Enrollment growth is a part of our strategic plan, and that's primarily for two reasons. One is to do our part in the support of the state's initiative to the Drive to 55. Education still matters. Education still transforms opportunities and develops potential, and it's important that our state not be derailed because of the pandemic. And so we know that it's really important that we provide access to education. We also, I saw this when I moved here 6 years ago, we need more graduate students. I looked at the mix of undergraduate and graduate students, and there's a synergy that you get when you get the right mix, and we were a little bit light on the graduate side, and we've been growing professional programs and graduate programs so that we can do our part to be economic drivers in our region, and so this particular program would meet that need as well. And of course, our mission is to address regional needs. We're very fortunate. I've never been to a community like Clarksville, Montgomery County, where there is such collaboration and interaction among the healthcare folks, what we're talking about, public servants and public officials, the school systems, the universities, and we meet together often about how to serve our community and offer those things that will lift us up as a body, and this program would also do that. So the program is needed, and I think the data are pretty clear that the occupational needs are going to continue to grow. Speech and language issues often come because of hearing loss. And of course, you've got hearing issues among children many times right now, but you also have increased hearing loss as people get older, and sometimes they can result in some language deficiencies if they've got any other kind of, if they've got comorbidity. So if you've got a stroke or lung issues, again, the lung issues can go back to swallowing. So you may have a facility, or you may know someone who puts gel in a liquid so that liquid doesn't cause aspiration. Well, if you've got those kinds of issues, that also can impact issues with speech, language, and of course swallowing. And so we know that there's going to be a greater need going forward. We're also hearing some evidence that COVID-19 is having some impact on cognition, and there is some relationship between cognition and language difficulties as well. So unfortunately, we think there's going to be a greater need than there even is now. Student demand is high in the state of Tennessee. All of the programs combined right now take about 10% of the applicants. And so there is a strong need for the program, and we've done some analysis on our own campus, and there's strong interest among our current students. You can look in your packet, but we have had tremendous outpouring of support, but also requests from our community members who say we really need more help in this area. And so I'm very confident going forward that we will be fully subscribed in enrollment because this program is so needed. So we anticipate enrolling 20 students each year in a cohort model, keeping a steady state enrollment of 40 students. We say 38, assuming that we may have a couple who have to leave for a variety of reasons. And so we expect to graduate 72 students in the first 5 years. Our cost and revenue picture, of course, is changing. The revenue picture, I don't think will change, but the cost picture is really going to depend on what happens when the legislature reconvenes and when we see what our enrollment may look like in the fall. Most of the upfront costs, however, can be divided into two areas. One would be personnel cost. We've already hired a wonderful person who's planned this program and is also teaching in our concentration at the undergraduate level. And Dr. Kleinhans is on the call in case you have questions of her. And then we've hired someone else who's beginning in August to help her. And then we'll hire a couple of more faculty by the time the program is to start, which is in about a year and a half. The other cost, the upfront cost, which is a one-time cost, would be renovation of space to start a clinic on campus. And we have the funds set aside for that. But frankly, we want to see what happens with, we want to be good stewards of state resources and then also make sure that we don't put ourselves into a bind later. And so if we were to decide that we needed to hold on to that cash or use it in a different way, then we've already had offers from people in the community who have clinics who would give us access to their space. And so we can get by as long as we would need to if we decided not to convert university space at this time and do something later. And so I don't see any reason to believe that we would not be able to handle this program in a financially responsible way. And because there is such a call for the program, I'm very confident that our enrollment will hold because people are looking for recession-proof jobs and they're looking for opportunities to make a difference. And we believe that this program answers those needs. So I've talked very fast trying to get through this in a short period of time. But I'll be happy to answer your questions.
Thank you, Dr. White. You did a great job. Any questions for Dr. White?
President White, this is Nancy Dishner, and this is really more a curiosity question to me because you are the first to come before the commission with a new program in such different settings that we have currently, physical and physical, I might say. So would you share with us a little about the process and the thinking that went into considering how you take a career that is in fact so face-to-face and high touch and very personal, and how instruction in a program like this is the same. It is very face-to-face, very personal. How did you go through the logic and reasoning of determining how you can turn that into a program that might have to be more remotely provided?
So I'll say first that I don't think the education will be the same. I liken the situation we're in to air travel after 9/11. I believe that there's going to be a different way to do things. And in some cases, I don't think it's going to be a better way. In some cases, it will be necessitated by whatever situation that we're in. In this particular program, we've been working on this program for 2 years. And so we're continuing to move forward with the program, understanding that some of the courses of instruction were more theoretical, and that by the time a person needs clinical work, then the situation in terms of risk to the patients or clients and to the practitioners could be mitigated to a great extent. There could be a vaccine by that time as well. And so we're talking about a program that is not designed to start right away, and then you also don't start with a clinical piece right away either. So we've got some time to work on that. But your question is really relevant because it is also relevant to all of the other courses that we already offer. We have a wonderful medical laboratory science program, 100% job placement rate. And if you ever need testing, you need it now. And those students have to have hands-on experience with pipettes. You can't do that electronically. And so there has to be this mix of face-to-face and electronic means. And one of the things that we're doing, say, with labs in the fall, I've talked to the faculty about really paying attention to the data and looking at what the data is telling us in terms of the spread and how we can mitigate risk. But one of the things that we're talking about is front-loading some of those clinical experiences at the beginning while the data are showing a low spread, and then, of course, using all sorts of personal protective equipment, medical equipment. And then if the data show that we need to go online, fully online for a week or two, or maybe even a month, whatever that happens to be, some of that in-person instruction will have already been done. So I think we'll never be surprised again. I think from here on out, because if it's not COVID-19, it might be another type of virus that we never thought would affect us as a world that this one does. And so I think from now on, education will be tied to healthcare and the health experts looking at threats and data to show how we need to be flexible going forward.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Dr. White. Other questions for Dr. White? Okay, hearing none, the floor is open, and I will entertain a motion to approve the program.
I will move approval. This is Nancy Dishner.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Dishner. Is there a second?
Vernon Stafford, I second.
Okay, I heard Commissioner Stafford with the second. Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Chairman Coe,
Aye.
Commissioner Dishner,
Aye.
Commissioner Johnston,
Aye.
Commissioner Copeland,
Aye.
Commissioner Moses,
Aye.
Commissioner Stafford,
Aye.
Commissioner Watson,
Aye.
Commissioner Winton,
Aye, and I do want to commend Dr. White and her team for thinking about telemedicine. It has been a lifesaver, and we've seen a significant uptick of people utilizing the services, particularly in behavioral health. So kudos to everyone for thinking on that.
Secretary Hargett,
Aye.
Commissioner Wharton,
Aye.
Comptroller Wilson,
Aye.
Treasurer Lillard,
Aye.
Commissioner Riley.
Aye.
Okay, that, Chairman, you have 13 ayes.
Very good. The motion is carried. All right, the next item on the agenda, two new academic programs at the University of Memphis will be presented. Dr. Thomas Nennan, I hope I didn't mispronounce your name. I think the first up is the Public Health Bachelor of Science degree.
Hi, thank you. This is Tom Nennan, University of Memphis, Provost. I'm also joined in this proposal by the chair of the Department of City and Regional Planning, Dr. Charlie Santo, who can, on the next one, and on this one with Dr. Deborah Bartelli from our School of Public Health. The two proposals today couldn't be more timely. In particular, this one. We began the preparation for this a couple of years ago. It takes advantage of the talents of our wonderful faculty that are already here in our School of Public Health that up until now has had only graduate programs. We believe that it's going to give them a solid a more solid financial foundation if we can augment this with a Bachelor of Science in Public Health. And above all, it's very clear recently what the contributions to our community and our state are going to be by having more professionals who are qualified in this area. And I think at the moment, the need for this is quite apparent. Let me see, and to move this ahead. Move the slide ahead. I am
Please use the gray toolbar on the left.
on the left.
Yes.
Let's see. Okay, up, back. Okay, there we go. So it focuses in particular on health disparities and how those are addressed. It will be fully accredited by the national boards that certify public health. It's very interdisciplinary. It takes advantage of courses across a range of colleges here. From the very outset, this had always been prepared to be offered in traditional and online formats. Currently, in the COVID, with that, we're going to begin in the first semester only online, and then we will be bringing the on-ground courses back as it's safe to do so at full capacity. It's consistent with a general theme of the University of Memphis, where we see our mission primarily as serving our community. That term, engaged scholarship, we'll talk about that in a second again, but what it really means is traditional scholarship was aimed at other scholars, and the primary measure of success was being published in a major journal or a major publisher and being cited. In engaged scholarship, it's the other way around. The primary outcome is a measurable improvement on something in the community. So it's community-based. We work with partners, and we work for real change in our community following best practices. We track it, and when we see what works, then we publish it, and it does get cited. It does spread, but first of all, it spreads because of the contributions it makes to the community. This program would prepare students for entry-level public and community health positions. Degree production, of course, very clearly addresses workforce development, and it contributes to our community and our primary goal of serving Memphis, West Tennessee, and our region. We've looked at the labor statistics. The graduates will clearly have plenty of opportunities, and we're seeing very strong interest in the program already as word's getting out that we are proposing this. And we appreciate THEC allowing us to talk about and advertise this program once this was put on the agenda here, so that the students will be able to enroll in the program beginning this fall. We expect, these are very conservative numbers now. These were developed before COVID. We think a lot more people understand what public health is, what it does, and what its value is now. So we think these are very, very conservative numbers. Basically, if you look, we see that we have only one real expenditure at the beginning, and that is a full-time coordinator. This is a graduate program, and we need someone who's going to be the undergraduate program coordinator and advisor liaison for these students. So it involves one staff position. After that, if the enrollment does pick up this way, clearly the tuition and fees would justify and cover an additional faculty member to help out with some of the enrollment we anticipate in those courses. So any question about this?
Any questions? Okay, thanks very much. We'll go ahead and consider this. Yes.
Sorry, I had one question. This is Vernon Stafford.
Sure, yes, sir.
Mr. Neenam, I just want to reconcile. I thought I heard you say that this would be fully accredited. Is that correct?
Yes.
In the Appendix A that we received, I thought I saw the statement that it would not be eligible for accreditation until 2022. Can you just reconcile that for me?
Yes, it will be eventually. To be fully accredited, you have to show that you have met the standards, and then they're going to accredit you based on your performance in those standards. So it's been developed following all of those accreditation standards, but it's only after the third year that there's actually review and that they formally grant the accreditation. Is that correct, Deborah?
Yes, that's absolutely correct. We won't be eligible for accreditation until 2022, but the program has been developed in line with our accrediting agency standards.
Okay, so as I understand it, you're doing everything you know that is necessary to qualify for accreditation, but it's still incumbent upon them to actually approve you, correct?
That's correct. And our graduate programs are fully accredited by STEVE
Okay.
at the current time.
And it followed exactly the same timetable. We developed our graduate programs consistent with all the standards, and then received accreditation on the first opportunity, that is, at the end of the first.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Mr. Chairman, A.C. Wharton, it's not a question, it's a comment that I discussed with Director Krause during our prep call. Then this is something that we know sorely needed in Mr. Joplin County, because this is ground zero for health disparities, and we look forward to working with you on this. I know the county mayor is getting ready to do some work on that, so it's really a great program.
Thank you, Mayor Wharton. Other questions or comments?
Hey, I have a question. I love the thought of the program, but I do want to have some more specific thoughts on in what types of jobs will be available for these individuals moving forward. I mean, there's lots of conversation in regards to healthcare disparities now. They've been highlighted, but they've been there for a very long time. And so I guess my question is, what realistic jobs are available for these students when they finish this program?
Deborah, would you say a little bit about that, please?
Sure. Well, current estimates prior to COVID-19, recent estimates were that more than half of the public health workforce would either be retired or moved out of that field by 2023. So there was already a huge gap and need for people to fill those workforce gaps. And since COVID-19, there's been an awareness of how understaffed most health departments are. And so there's a need then to ramp up employment in public health departments. Prior to COVID-19, when we spoke with our local and state public health departments, they all assured us that our graduates would be competitive and would be able to come into entry-level positions with a bachelor's degree. And as we look across, other programs, the majority, 63% or more of public health undergraduates have employment within the first year, and about 20% go on to further education. So we feel pretty confident now that our students will be able to be employed. But also, our program is really designed to prepare students for careers. They're going to have a lot of opportunities through their practicums to work with local organizations and regional organizations. We'll have a lot of representation in the classroom, so that students will be really making connections with local employers and regional employers. Does that answer your question?
I can unmute myself. Yes, it does. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Any other questions or comments?
Do we have a motion for approval?
Okay, is that your motion, Secretary Hargett?
It is.
Very good. Is there a second?
I second that.
Second by Mayor Wharton. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Madam Secretary, call the roll, please.
Chairman Cope?
Aye.
Commissioner Dishner?
Aye.
Commissioner Johnston?
Aye.
Commissioner Coben?
Aye.
Commissioner Moser?
Aye.
Commissioner Stafford?
Aye.
Commissioner Watson? Commissioner Watson? Commissioner Witten,
Aye.
Secretary Hargett,
Aye.
Commissioner Wharton,
Aye.
Comptroller Wilson,
Aye.
Treasurer Lillard,
Aye.
Commissioner Riley.
Aye.
Chairman, you have 13 ayes, 0 nays.
Very good. The motion is carried. The next item is the University of Memphis Urban Affairs PhD. Dr. Neenan.
Thank you. Again, this is an innovative program. It's fairly unique in its focus at the doctoral level on engaged scholarship. This is answering a strong community need that has come to us through various agencies, in particular through our governmental and nonprofits, but also for practitioners who are already in the profession. And so you'll see that we presume a few full-time faculty or students, along with a lot of part-time faculty. This builds on courses that we already have in our curriculum, and it will attract students typically who are already here and are already working professionals and may take a little time off, or will be doing this in addition to their work as further qualification that helps them in the agency or at the in the professional in a nonprofit or in industry where they already have a job. It's developed as a very, very unique partnership. Our School of Urban Affairs and Public Policy is a national leader in engaged scholarship and already has a record of positive change in our community. They were the leaders in reducing teen pregnancy with our partners here. They're currently working again with our Crime Commission and with our police departments in reducing crime. They have a record of helping in closing gaps in educational opportunity or in training and professional access. And so these are faculty members who are hired explicitly with a passion for changing, bringing about change in our community. What the PhD does is it allows the professionals that are graduated very often with a bachelor's degree or with a master's degree to enhance their analytical skills and to really begin to use applied research tools to increase the effectiveness of the programs that are here throughout the community and to work with our community partners to do that. It is a combination. The courses are already on ground and online, and so the professionals will have a choice of how they want to do it. This will prepare for careers in public, nonprofit, private, and educational sectors, and you see the kinds of jobs that are out there. This was pretty thoroughly researched, and Dr. Santo can say a little bit more about it if you wish.
Sure. Would you like me to jump in now on that?
It will, sure.
Okay. So yeah, we have a pretty thorough feasibility study that looked at multiple markets for employment. So because of the flexibility of the program being a PhD program, we believe that some of the folks coming into this will pursue the traditional path and look for jobs in academia. Others who are just seeking to advance in their current positions. So a pretty significant percentage of respondents to our survey indicated that they were looking to improve their ability to do their current job. And then others will find work as practitioners or policy analysts in the public and nonprofit sectors. So in thinking about the current market and what the future market for these students will look like, so the program will begin in 2021, fall of 2021, and won't see graduates until 2024. So we're hoping that the market then is drastically better than it is now. But just in sort of taking a look at what's out there for people that would come out of a program like this, even in the current situation, it's hard to predict the academic job market right now because this is not really the hiring season, but there are positions currently posted on the Urban Affairs Association website and the network of schools of public policy affairs and administration. So there are positions out there in academia. Also recognizing that there are a slew of new grant opportunities coming to universities that are related to research on the COVID-19 impacts. We believe that those will, in the short term, support doctoral students at the University of Memphis. And then in the long term, there will likely be a lot of postdoc positions available to graduates of this program. And then for the students who pursue the practitioner route, the non-academic route, there is, as we noted in the feasibility study, there is likely to be a lot of work in the nonprofit sector and the philanthropic sector due to what has been an increase in the size of that sector, an increase in openings due to retirements in that sector, and an increased demand in that sector for researchers with more sophisticated skills. And so I think a lot of that will actually be amplified in light of the current pandemic, because a lot of the work of managing the aftermath of the pandemic will fall on local governments and largely nonprofit and philanthropic partners. So there'll be more of a need for people with the skills that come out of this program.
Thanks, Charlie. So they've looked at this pretty clearly. Charlie was summarizing. As far as the expenditures, we're going to have one program director. So it's really one faculty member who will organize and coordinate this program across the various units that support it: anthropology, social work, sociology, criminal justice, city and regional planning, public nonprofit administration. So coordinating across those various departments. And then the rest would be graduate assistantships. Again, this is very conservative because the expenditures would be for the graduate assistants. As Dr. Santo just pointed out, there are a number of grants out there, so we think it's very likely that these costs are actually going to be covered through research grants by the second or the third year, where the full-time students would be employed doing that research in addition to the part-time students who will be paying full tuition. Any questions?
Mr. Neenan, I've got a question. Vernon Stafford. Couldn't help but notice that this was approved by the Board of Trustees of the university in 2018 and it's coming before us now. Is there something that we as a commission need to do differently to help programs like this come before us sooner?
Well, I mean, the staff reviews these very, very carefully and comes back. There was a fair amount of review as they were looking at the proposal from the trustees and asking the kinds of questions about feasibility, about work placement, and things like that. And then there is a year usually that it takes when we're getting external reviewers in that help us that are experts from the area. So it was done very, very carefully and thoroughly. We do think that it did help benefit the department, but we're always trying to respond as quickly as we can to help these things move ahead.
Okay. Thank you.
Other questions, comments? Okay, hearing none, the floor is open for a motion to approve the program.
Motion to approve.
Okay, I'm so sorry. I could not understand the motion.
The motion to approve, and I so move.
Okay, Mayor Wharton with a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second, this is Nakasha.
Okay, thanks, Commissioner Witten with the second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify. I'm so sorry. Madam Secretary, call the roll, please.
Chairman Cope?
Aye.
Commissioner Dishner? Aye. Commissioner Johnson?
Aye.
Commissioner Cope? Aye. Commissioner Moser?
Aye.
Commissioner Stafford?
Aye.
Commissioner Watson?
Aye.
Commissioner Witten?
Aye.
Commissioner Wharton?
Aye.
Commissioner Riley?
Aye. You have 10 ayes.
Very good. The motion to approve is adopted. The next items on the agenda, 2 academic programs from the University of Tennessee at Knoxville, will be presented by Dr. David Manderscheid. The first academic program is the Deaf Studies Bachelor of Science degree. Dr. Manderscheid, you're recognized.
Dr. Manderscheid, I believe you're muted.
Am I unmuted at this point? Thank you. Perfect. And are the slides up? I do not see the slides. I see our Director Krause.
You can currently see the slides, Dr. Manderscheid.
You can see the slides. I cannot see them. Okay. Will somebody be advancing them for me then?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, there they are. Thank you so much. So I want to thank you for this opportunity to present to you. I have 2 programs to present. The first is the Bachelor of Science. I just lost the slides again. The first is the Bachelor of Science in Deaf Studies with an ASL, American Sign Language Education concentration. I also have on the line with me Kimberly Wolbers, a professor in the College of Education, Health and Human Sciences, who has been the person who was the primary lead on developing this program. I think it meets a great need in the state, and I'm happy to present this to you, and I appreciate you listening to this program. So advancing the slides. There we go. First, the academic program. It provides an undergraduate pathway to become an American Sign Language teacher. In this concentration, graduates complete a year-long teaching internship and then also can earn a post-baccalaureate degree, a Master's of Science in Education. But most importantly, they can obtain licensure to teach grades pre-K through 12 American Sign Language. This comes under the Deaf Studies major, which has 2 other concentrations. Next slide, please. Excuse me, it's aligned with the state master plan because it will be provide more opportunities for Tennesseans to get post-secondary degrees in deaf-related fields or ASL teaching. And it also satisfies a need within the state that increases the supply of American Sign Language teachers to meet demand within the state. I will say this, I will comment later on this, that demand is growing. And it is consistent with our mission as a state land-grant institution to provide education for all Tennesseans, in particular to the well-being of deaf persons in the state of Tennessee. Next slide, please. In terms of the demand, I will say this, now 2 recent laws enacted by the state. The first allows high school students to take ASL to satisfy foreign language credit. That's 2017. And then further, for the foreign language requirement entrance into higher education institutions, we now must allow those American Sign Language courses to satisfy that requirement. So we are seeing an increased interest, in particular on this campus, in American Sign Language courses, and we're also seeing an increased interest in school districts to provide that education. Next slide, please. So in particular, I'll quote from Knox County Schools, where of course we're located. They're eager to provide more ASL opportunities for students. And I think this ties in well with some of the other things we've heard previously about, people with disabilities, people differently abled around speech and hearing, this provides a great opportunity. Next slide, please. And in terms of enrollment, this is overall enrollment for the Deaf Studies program. We expect roughly 12 students to graduate each year, growing to a number of 17. Annual expenditures will be very small because really we have the staff to provide this now. It's just now elevating it to the level of a major with the ASL concentration. So really, it's getting the program up and running and then providing minimal advertising support. And then I think that's all really I have to present here. So I think that was the last slide, if I recall correctly. Yeah, so I'm ready to take any questions on this program.
Thank you very much. Any questions?
One question, AC Wharton here. How does this relate to Tennessee School for the Deaf? That's I know there are children from Memphis who have to travel across the state to participate in that program.
Kimberly, could you comment on that?
Yes, hello, is my mic on?
Yes, it is, Kimberly.
Okay, great. Yes, you're correct that children from across the state do sometimes opt to attend the Tennessee School for the Deaf. This program wouldn't necessarily impact Tennessee School for the Deaf. It's more about developing teachers who have the ability to teach ASL within schools across the state. So that would be in all public schools, all mostly secondary schools. And Tennessee School for the Deaf does have some ASL instruction happening there. So it could be that we prepare a teacher who could fill a role there, but mostly we're talking about Knox County, Nashville, Memphis, and all the smaller schools that want to offer ASL as a foreign language option to their students.
And that's my point in terms of the need. The child that I have in mind, his parents take him to a bus station on Sunday night, and he travels alone all the way to Knoxville to that school because he can't get it here. So I strongly support this if it's going to help us expand these services to all areas of our state.
It certainly, I agree with you, it certainly does make staying in your home school a more viable option if there are peers who can communicate with you in your primary language.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kimberly.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, hearing none. I'll entertain a motion to approve the program.
So moved.
Motion, is that Mayor Wharton?
Yes.
Okay, motion by Mayor Wharton to approve. Is there a second?
Second, Commissioner Riley.
Is that second Commissioner Coben or?
Riley, Commissioner Riley.
Okay, Commissioner Riley with the second. Very good. We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Okay, hearing none. Madam Secretary, please call the roll. Hey, Shauna, can you hear? Yeah, aye.
Commissioner Dishner?
Aye.
Commissioner Johnson?
Aye.
Commissioner Coben?
Aye.
Commissioner Moser?
Aye.
Commissioner Stafford?
Aye.
Commissioner Watson?
Aye.
Commissioner Winton?
Aye.
Commissioner Wharton?
Aye.
Commissioner Riley?
Aye.
Chairman, you have 10 ayes and 0 nays.
Very good. The motion to approve is carried. The next item on the agenda is the University of Tennessee Knoxville's Master of Legal Studies. Dr. Manescheid.
Thank you once again for having me to present this, and thank you all for what you do for the students and citizens of our state around the important issues of education. This degree I'll present. I also have Alex Long who on the call also. Alex Long is professor of law, and he was the primary developer of this program, and so he can perhaps answer any questions we have that I cannot answer. The Master of Legal Studies degree out of our College of Law is a real opportunity to give citizens of the state an education in legal matters without getting their Juris Doctor degree, and we'll walk through that right now. So maybe next slide, please. So this is to provide, as I mentioned, legal education around issues that might come up in your job. For example, if you're in human resources, or if you're in healthcare, or compliance, or cybersecurity. It provides the basic understanding of our legal systems, concepts, and structures. It develops students' problem-solving skills, and it offers an online option for working professionals. So this does not lead to, you cannot sit for the bar exam. It's not intended to replace the Juris Doctor degree, but many people do not need the Juris Doctor degree, but could benefit from this education. Next slide, please. It's a typical master's program. It involves 30 credit hours. There are 2 introductory courses online, 6 hours, 2 or more first-year Juris Doctor courses, live and online possibilities, at least 6 hours there, and then a total of 18 more hours in the law school in 6 courses. Some of those could, of course, be those first-year courses, as was mentioned. And then a written project in lieu of a master's. Oftentimes, a master's degree will involve a thesis. This will involve just a written project. Next slide, please. This supports the State Master Plan, 2002 Complete College Tennessee Act, addressing the state's economic and workforce development needs. And once again, it furthers our mission to help provide education to the residents of the state of Tennessee, in particular, this very specialized legal education. Next slide, please. There are no other Masters of Legal Studies programs in the state of Tennessee, so we're filling that very important niche. Many states have multiple programs, indeed. And our survey showed a great interest, and it's, in particular, we've seen interest from TVA, other government agencies, in particular, putting some of their people through this program. And if you look at some of the professions where this degree could be of help, paralegals and legal assistants, projected job growth of 15%, information security analysts, 15%, and so on. In particular, I'll mention social workers. There's a real potential here of collaboration with our College of Social Work. Our new dean is very excited about this possibility. Next slide, please. Expenditures. The expenditures are relatively small, and that's because we have existing capacity within our School of Law. Since 2010, the number of people going to law school has declined, and in particular, it's declined at the University of Tennessee, not significantly, but enough that we can accommodate this program pretty much within existing resources. And so this allows us to use our resources more efficiently and provide that education that many professionals desire. Alex, do you want to add anything to that?
No, I can't think of anything to add, but I'm happy to answer any questions anyone has.
Yeah, any questions for Alex and myself?
Now, what this course, these studies are for individuals who already have an undergraduate degree, and then when they finish this, they will be identified as having a master's degree. Their identity will be Master in Legal Studies. That it won't change the JD designation at all, will it?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
This is Commissioner Coben. I do have a question about the coursework, the JD coursework that's involved in this program. Does the student select the courses they wish to take, or is that prescribed in the degree program?
Students can select which courses they want to take based on their particular professional goals or interests. There are a few courses that they won't be allowed to take. For example, we have a legal clinic where our students represent clients, and so the people in the master's program will not be involved in that course. But if they want to take a health law course, they can do that. If they'd rather do an employment law course, they can do that. But it's whatever basically serves their professional goals.
Well, I would just like to say this sounds like a fantastic degree, and I certainly know many people who could use this as a background in the work that they do. Good idea.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Other questions or comments? Okay, hearing none, I will entertain a motion to approve the program.
So moved.
Okay, a motion by Commissioner Coben to approve the program. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Commissioner Johnston. Further discussion? Hearing none, Madam Secretary, call the roll, please.
Chairman Cope,
Aye.
Commissioner Dishner,
Aye.
Commissioner Johnston,
Aye.
Commissioner Coben,
Aye.
Commissioner Moser,
Aye.
Commissioner Stafford,
Aye.
Commissioner Watson,
Aye.
Commissioner Winton,
Aye.
Commissioner Wharton,
Aye.
Commissioner Riley.
Aye.
Chairman, you have 10 ayes and 0 nays.
Very good. The motion to approve is carried.
Chairman Cope, I'm back. Could I be added to voting aye on that?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Secretary Hargett,
Aye.
Chairman, you have 11 ayes.
Very good. The motion is carried. All right. The next item on the agenda is the UT Health Science Center 2020 Campus Master Plan update. Patty Miller, I think you are up next.
Yes, thank you, Chairman Cope, Director Krause, and members of the Commission. Today, we're bringing forward 2 master plans for your consideration. The first is a master plan update for the University of Tennessee Health Science Center. It is a comprehensive plan, especially considering this is an update that's on a 5-year cycle from the original plan. We've worked with the university and the master plan team through the course of the development. We had planned a scheduled visit to the campus with commission members, which is always helpful, but unfortunately we had to cancel it due to our current circumstances. The next master plan, which is agenda item 4, is an amendment to the TCAT Shelbyville master plan. The original master plan was in 2014, and this amendment seeks to add a specific property to their acquisition plan for the purpose of potentially moving the Shelbyville campus in the future. Now I'd like to introduce Mr. Tony Hobson for agenda item 3. Tony is director of the University of Tennessee Division of Real Property and Space Administration. Tony has been guiding the master plan update for the UT Health Science Center through the entire process. I would like to recognize Tony Hobson.
Thanks, Patty. Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Great. Good morning, Chairman Cope and Commission. We're here to provide an update of the University of Tennessee Health Science Center Campus Master Plan. The update is built on the foundation of prior planning and initiatives, including the 2015 Campus Master Plan and the UT Health Science Center Strategic Plan. There are over 3,000 students enrolled at the 4 main UT Health Science Center campus locations: Memphis, Knoxville, Chattanooga, and Nashville. UT Health Science Center's main campus in Memphis is the focus of this master plan update. Dr. Kim Brown, Executive Vice Chancellor and Chief Operations Officer, will provide the overview. Dr. Brown has been with the Health Science Center for more than 20 years and is responsible for coordinating the day-to-day administrative operations and the effective management of the campus central administration. He's joined by Chris Ann Osterby, Campus Planning Lead and Principal with DLR Group, who was engaged as a consultant on the project. DLR Group provides a wide range of services, and Chris Ann leads their master planning work. With Dr. Brown's vision and guidance, this update has been developed with input from the Chancellor's Cabinet, with students, faculty, staff, and numerous external stakeholders, including the City of Memphis, Shelby County, hospital partners in the area, and the public. We would also like to recognize Patty Miller and especially thank her for the guidance and support throughout the process. So with that, I'll turn it over to Dr. Brown.
Thank you, Tony. I don't see the slides. Tony, can you put those up? While we're getting the slides up, I'd like to take this opportunity to, first of all, thank the Commission for its support. Over 5 years ago, the University of Tennessee Health Science Center started its campus master planning process, and it was through the support of this Commission that we were able to really begin that work seriously on the Health Science Center campus. I'd also like to echo the sentiment that Tony just expressed, and my appreciation to Patty and her staff for the support that they've given us. Can we see the slides, Tony? Okay. Thanks. I guess I'll start with the sentiment that was expressed by Chairman Cope. The elements of the master plan that we have are of as much critical import as they've ever been. Particularly on the heels of this pandemic, we realize and have come to appreciate the importance of our frontline healthcare workers, and that's the uniqueness of the health science centers, that we train doctors, dentists, physicians, physical therapists, nurses, pharmacists, dentists. So those people that provide care to us all during these critical times. And as you'll see from this very first slide, our plan really speaks very fundamentally of an evolution from an incidental campus that just kind of happened to be in Memphis and grow incrementally to an intentional academic medical center. We still have 6 colleges. We've got a robust expansion of our student plan. That'll be an evolution in the growth of medical students and physician extenders like physical therapists and nurses and others, the College of Pharmacy, the dental school plans and expansion as well. We'll go from 1.4 million science square feet to 1.9 million. We currently don't have any housing on campus. We moved out of the dormitory business almost 20 years ago because our students are professional students. But we realize and appreciate the necessity for student housing, and we put out an RFP and have engaged in a partnership with a local developer. Actually, it's Henry Turley's company, who actually did the development on Mud Island. They were the successful bidders on our request for proposals and have a plan to build 381 apartment units or condos on 10 acres of our campus through a land lease with the state. We've got some research expansion planned and plan to grow our research enterprise. Research, as you very well know, is even more critical now than it's ever been. We have a regional biocontainment lab. with a pretty robust select agent portfolio. We're working on SARS, COVID-19, N1H1, and a multitude of other things that we globally can benefit from as we achieve some success in the regional biocontainment lab. Of course, our staff will continue to grow in support of our academic and research missions. We can go to the next slide. This is just kind of a framework of our overview of the master plan. And again, we started this work about 5 years ago. But we're not doing it in a vacuum. We, the Health Science Center, became a part of a collaborative called the Memphis Medical District Collaborative, and it's comprised of all of our hospital partners, Regional One, Le Bonheur, Methodist University, Baptist College of Health Professions, Southern College of Optometry, St. Jude's Research Center. And so in the development of our master plan, we're very mindful and thoughtful of the master plans of our contiguous hospital partners and affiliates, where a lot of our clinical faculty work and a lot of our students in their clinical training train at. So we didn't, in a vacuum, create this evolution of our master plan. It was in conjunction with a lot of stakeholders. We held lots of public and town hall forums, a lot of input from the faculty, staff, and students of the Health Science Center. So we think we've got a very well vetted evolution of our master plan. We can go to the next slide. We broke the presentations in the interest of brevity down to short-term, mid-term, and long-term. We actually started out with a presentation of about 25 slides and certainly could have comprised the whole afternoon of talking to you all about the vision for the master plan. And before I leave that point, I want you to know that the invitation to visit our campus, it continues to stand and will, heretofore always be open to any member of the commission or the commission as a whole to come down to Memphis and visit with us. We'd like nothing more than to spend a day or so walking you through the elements of our master plan, letting you come to appreciate and capture the essence of the Health Science Center campus. There's certain elements in our short-term plan. We see that, we could easily have a 20,000 plus assigned square foot deficit in the short-term plan. The big highlights for the short-term plan, we have a project going for the Nash and Nash Annex, which is a $70 million ongoing capital project. We're in the throes of completing that, again, to increase research square footage. We've still got plans on the board for a building for the College of Medicine. That's the main staple of any academic medical center. We're growing the space for the College of Health Professions to grow our physical therapy and occupational therapy programs as the baby boomer and subsequent generations continue to age. And people are living longer, and the necessity for physician extenders to take care of them is becoming more of a demand. And then we have our campus police building in our short-term master plan. And I don't know if you know, but last year, 2019, the University of Tennessee Health Science Center was ranked in the top 10 safest college campuses in the country. Now, that's in Memphis. So this isn't in Kansas. This is in Memphis. And so Memphis routinely, unfortunately, ranks in the top 10 of the most violent cities in the country. And so to be recognized as having, one of the top 10 safest college campuses in a city of the standings that Memphis ranks in terms of its most violent cities in the country, I think is more than noteworthy. Let's go to the midterm slide. We talk about short-term and we talk about a 5-year window. Our midterm plan kind of stretches it out a little further for a 10-year window. And in our 10-year window, we've talked about the acquisition of some of the Baptist owned and Bioworks property that sits in the heart of our campus to continue to grow our research enterprise. There's a huge vivarium that we're in the process of acquiring, additional properties contiguous to the vivarium that we envision being able to build out additional research space capacity You know, with our regional biocontainment lab, as a result of the COVID-19, we've got increased interest from DOD and other federal agencies, and so we anticipate the robust book of business of that biosafety level facility. Ours is BSL-3. That book of business will continue to grow in the evolution of things, and being able to have the research capacity for the growth of academic research and the growth of commercial research in that space, supported by our research faculty, is a wonderful opportunity for the Health Science Center. And so that's in our 10-year evolution. And then we inherited the Madison Building Complex from Baptist about 20 years ago. These buildings are probably 20 years past their 20-year life expectancy, and we anticipate at some point having come to grips with the reality of having to demolish those buildings. And so on the heels of building a new College of Medicine building, the demolition of the Baptist Hospital acquired buildings that continue to be a challenge for us to maintain would be in our midterm evolutionary growth strategy. And then if we'll look at the long-term strategy slide, in our long-term strategy, and we certainly anticipate, more than 10 years out, there'll be all kinds of permutations and evolutions to this strategy. But right now, we wanted to create a framework to guide us or the next generation of administrators for the Health Science Center, so that at least they show up, unlike I did some 20 years ago, they show up and there is a plan. And certainly that plan serves as this sort of a framework for them to work from. No doubt these guys will be, much brighter and much smarter and much more attuned with the state of affairs 10 years from now than we could possibly be right now. But at the very least, they have a framework from which to work. We've talked about the Health Science Center being in the hospital business, where we are unique as an academic medical center in that we don't own a hospital. We have wonderful collaborations with our hospital teaching partners, but whether we want to admit it or realize it or not, we're deep into the throes of the hospital business. The most critical part of our student matriculation experience takes place in environments over which we have very little control now, other than the behest of our partners. And so with 1,200 medical residents or more in Memphis, in the medical district between Region 1, LeBonner, Methodist University, in our long-term strategy, we wanted to consider to build a women's and infants pavilion at Region 1 to do high-end women's care. And this strategy that not just this governor, but the preceding governor talked about in changing the evolution of the overall health status of the population of the people of the state of Tennessee. Arguably, half of those people are women, and being able to have a state-of-the-art facility to provide high-end women's services in Memphis to deal with the continued infant mortality problem that we have with our high-end neonatology and the LeBonner Children's Hospital continuing to ascend, in the rankings of children's hospitals in the country. We think a women's and infants pavilion at Region 1 would be the perfect complement to that. So we've started to strategize for what that would look like as a part of our long-term strategy. Memphis Mental Health Institute sits in the heart of our campus. We don't have a robust mental health, for whatever reason, has fallen by the wayside in the healthcare paradigm, but it's more critical than ever. And with a mental health facility in the heart of our campus, we continue to think about the acquisition, ownership, management of that facility long term that would enable us to grow our psychiatric residency program and help contribute to the psychiatric workforce. There's a dire shortage of psychiatric service providers around the country. And so to be able to grow the number of psychiatrists that we produce as the Health Science Center, we think that's an obligation that we have as a healthcare institution, and it's of more important now than it's ever been. So that's kind of the thumbnail sketch of what our short-term, mid-term, and long-term visions are. It's all predicated on the master plan that the commission approved us starting some 5 years ago. We anticipate coming back to this commission within the next 3 to 5 years and rearticulating the tweaks and solutions of our master plan to keep you abreast of what it is the Tennessee Higher Education Commission is actually making an investment in at the University of Tennessee Health Science Center. So with that, I'm happy to take any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Dr. Brown. Are there any questions of Dr. Brown? Okay, I don't hear anything. Thanks very much, Dr. Brown. At this time, I will entertain a motion to approve the UT Health Science Center 2020 Campus Master Plan update.
I move approval. Vernon Stafford.
Commissioner Stafford with a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second, Nancy Dishner.
Second by Commissioner Dishner. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Chairman Cope?
Aye.
Commissioner Dishner? Aye. Commissioner Johnston?
Aye.
Commissioner Coben? I'll come back to Commissioner Coben. We just lost her video.
No, actually,
Commissioner Coben?
yeah.
Aye.
My answer, I lost your audio, so that's why I wasn't answering.
Sorry about that. Okay, Commissioner Coben? Commissioner Coben, did I have an aye from you?
Yes. I will put an aye.
Commissioner Coben is an aye. Commissioner Moser?
Aye.
Commissioner Shepard?
Aye.
Commissioner Watson?
Aye.
Commissioner Winton?
Aye.
Secretary Hargett? Commissioner Wharton?
Aye.
Comptroller Wilson? Treasurer Lillard? Commissioner Riley?
Aye.
Chairman, you have 11 ayes and 0 nays.
Very good. The motion to approve is carried. Next, and looks like the final item on our agenda is the TCAT Shelbyville Master Plan Amendment, and I'll call on Dr. Tidings.
Yes, good morning, Director Krause, Chairman Cope, members of the Commission. The Tennessee Board of Regents is requesting approval of an amendment to the statewide TCAT Master Plan. This amendment is for TCAT Shelbyville and would allow for future relocation and development of the campus. And Chairman Cope, I would like to recognize that on the line we do have Representative Pat Marsh and President Laura Monks. And I would also like to thank the Shelbyville and Bedford County leadership who have been instrumental in the donation of the property for the relocation, as well as their continued support of higher education in the region. At this time, I'd like to recognize Executive Director for the Office of Facilities Development, Mr. Dick Tracy, to make the formal presentation to you.
You? Can you hear me? Uh-oh.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Chancellor, and thank you, Chairman Cope and Commission members, for allowing TBR to present this item. TBR has completed a thorough, complete study and evaluation of the proposed amendment using the campus administration, our in-house staff, the architecture consultants, the master plan team, in collaboration with Patty Miller. The proposed amendment will not only allow TCAT Shelbyville, TBR, to address the ever-changing and dynamic needs for programs and workforce development. The new campus would allow for expansion and collaboration with local industry, the local education, and other higher education systems. The relocation redevelopment considerations. The first one is allowing expansion to address new and existing programs. The approved master plan recognized the need for expansion. The only opportunity identified was the purchase and renovation of the property immediately behind the campus. Even prior to the master plans, discussions between the campus and the local authorities were held regarding the acquisition. The decision of the school system was to utilize the building for the operation, so the current site does not have any area for expansion. Our second item is the collaboration with TBR institutions and universities. The current facility doesn't have any space that any other institutions can utilize to offer remote programs. Developing a new higher education campus allows flexibility for other institutions to offer programs as the needs arise. We talked about integrating the space for industry and training and industry recruitment. The existing and new industry are seeking institutions that can partner with that will allow collaboration for allowing for training of new workforces, as well as ongoing training as industries update and evolve. A major challenge for the state when competing for industry recruitment, industries continue to ask how and where their employees will be trained. As you may be aware, the TBR warranty has been well received regarding the how, but the where continues to be a challenge. Designing a flexible program space. The current facility was not designed to program for what we're currently utilizing it for. The development of a new facility will allow the campus to redesign, reconfigure to meet demands of new programs and the expansion of existing programs that may need additional space. Developing an efficient and effective higher education facility. The facility is developed strictly as undefined shop space and basic classrooms. By developing a higher education campus, we can continue to be proactive and flexible in meeting the ever-changing needs for education, which includes dual enrollment and workforce development and training. We would also be able to develop a more energy efficient and accessible campus. Integrating student collaboration area is a critical need at a lot of our campuses. There's no space for students that they can utilize for study, break areas, and collaboration space before, during, and after instructional time. And that's a challenge for the TCAT since the students are there for a long period of time. They come after work, they don't have time to go to lunch, so there's a need for them to be able to utilize space outside of the classroom space. Addressing future campus expansion, the current building and site do not have any space that can be used to expand or add new programs. Incorporating parking expansion, also the current site is limited on the area to expand parking. Any additional area not identified in the master plan may affect existing stormwater requirements. And then the site is more conducive to industry. The new site is in the industrial area, and it's on the northeast side of Shelbyville, which is the area of that region that's growing as it is more closer to Murfreesboro and Rutherford County. It's closer to the interstate, and the flexibility would allow us to phase the approach for various opportunities that we could, look at developing the building by utilizing other funding sources. This is the existing site. The existing building is 73,596 square feet with about 267 parking spaces. As you can see, on one side there's a trailer area. There's an industry on the other side, and the space immediately behind it is the building that we were looking to expand into. The new site is 20 acres. Our study was to do a campus plan that we could phase in as if we needed to as funding became available. It also allows for 5.5 acres of future expansion. The initial layout was we would have classroom spaces, the community spaces on one side, high bay spaces on the other side, so that we could utilize the academic classroom space working with community colleges and LGIs. And that pretty much ends our presentation. If I'm prepared to answer any questions.
Great, thank you very much. Any questions?
Mr. Tracy, this is Vernon Stafford. I noticed that obviously this is a gift that's being provided to the TCAT, but are there any other stipulations other than this was contingent upon THEC approval? Are there any other stipulations for the gifting of this property?
No, sir.
All right.
Chairman,
go ahead.
Yes, Mike.
I'm sorry, Commissioner Stafford, please finish.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to take a moment. It's always an honor for one of our legislators to join us. And certainly, Representative Marsh, this is not how a typical THEC meeting works, but I'm glad you joined us and just wanted to ask if there's anything you'd like to add.
Well, I'm proud to be here and very interested in what you've been talking about through this whole meeting. And I want to thank Chancellor Tidings for her support and backing of this project, which I think is very, very great project. It's in the very central part of Tennessee, in a very high, fast-growing area, and we already have some money that was for expansion. So it just comes at a perfect time in a perfect place. So I really appreciate you all allowing me to be on the call today.
We're really glad that you're here, Representative Marsh. Thank you for participating.
Well, and President Monks, Laura Monks in the center now, has done an excellent job, and I think she is the reason it's growing. She is the reason that we need this building. We have a lot of students trying to get in, but there's no room. We're full, so we feel like this is very needed, and I appreciate it. Appreciate your help. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Other questions or comments? Okay, hearing none, the floor is open for a motion to approve the TCAP Shelbyville Master Plan Amendment.
Motion to approve.
Okay, is that Commissioner Johnston?
Yes, sir.
Okay, is there a second?
I second.
Okay, was that Mayor Wharton?
Yes.
Okay. All right, there's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Chairman Cope,
Aye.
Commissioner Dishner. Aye. Commissioner Johnston.
Here. Or aye.
Commissioner Cope.
Aye.
Commissioner Moser.
Aye.
Commissioner Stafford.
Aye.
Commissioner Watson.
Aye.
Commissioner Winton.
Aye.
Secretary Hargett. Commissioner Wharton.
Aye.
Comptroller Wilson.
Aye.
Treasurer Lillard. Commissioner Riley.
Aye.
Chairman, you have 11 ayes and 0 nays.
Very good. The motion to approve is carried. And that brings us to the end of our agenda. And I just now at the conclusion want to say that it is, even though we're just visiting remotely, it's good to see everyone. And I hope everyone is staying healthy and safe. And I also want to echo his comments. And also I want to compliment Mike. I know we all think so highly of him and everyone who works at THEC, but this has been a tremendous challenge. He's had, as we all know, lots of balls in the air, lots of curveballs, unprecedented circumstances, and I think we can all be proud of this agency and the way that it's handled one crisis after another. So Mike and THEC staff, thank you very much. Our next meeting is July the 23rd. Is that right, Mike?
Yes, sir. I would say two things. Per your motion at the beginning of the meeting to modify today's agenda, we would ask every commissioner to be on standby. As soon as we have a sense of when the legislature will adjourn, we will set a called meeting for the next business day after. We think it's important for our institutions to have clarity on tuition as soon as the General Assembly concludes. That will be a called meeting subject to discussions with Chairman Cope, of course. But I think dangerous to guess, but my guess is we're looking at the late teens or early 20s of June. for the General Assembly to conclude that will give us the fullest possible information for tuition setting. And then to Chairman Cope's point, the next regular meeting will be July 23rd, and we'll be consulting with the chairman and all of you about the way to conduct that meeting. If the public health information at the time indicates that it's appropriate, my vote and recommendation would be for those commission members that feel comfortable, we hold an in-person meeting in a different setting than we have been meeting, likely in a large hearing room, so that we're all spread out significantly. But of course, we'll let the data at the time guide that and work with Chairman Cope and all of you.
Very good. Mike, thanks. Do any of the other commissioners have any comments you want to make before we adjourn? Okay, hearing none. Thanks very much. I guess I need a motion to adjourn, I think.
So moved.
All right. We have, I think, a motion by Mayor Wharton. Is there a second?
Second, Vernon.
Second from Commissioner Stafford. Any discussion? All right. I guess if we're electronic, we need to call a roll, Sean, right?
Yes,
Okay.
we do. Chairman Cope.
Aye.
Commissioner Dishner. Aye. Commissioner Johnston.
Aye.
Commissioner Coben. Commissioner Coben. Oh, you're muted, Commissioner Coben.
Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay.
Commissioner Moser.
Aye.
Commissioner Stafford.
Aye.
Commissioner Watson.
Aye.
Commissioner Winton.
Aye.
Secretary Target. Commissioner Wharton.
Aye.
Comptroller Wilson.
Let's get out of here.
Treasurer Lillard. Commissioner Riley.
Aye.
Chairman, you have 11 ayes, 0 nays.
Very good. The motion to adjourn is carried. Take care, everyone. Meeting's adjourned.